The EEED Committee. Number 2, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Number 3, public comment. I see no public comment. Number 4, approve the minutes of the October 6th Education Extension Economics Development Committee meeting. We have a move by
Is it working? No. Move approval of the October minutes.
Hey.
There went, okay. Motion by Supervisor Rosenberg, second by Supervisor Vuk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, policy issue discussion and potential committee determination. 5A, conduct discussion of recommendation to Executive Committee for update to the strategic objective and expected outcomes found in the 2019-22 strategic plan. 5A1, potential new strategic outcome measures for the objective 10.6. So I do believe Dave, or Mr. Supervisor Baker, has brought this forward, and he will walk us through it.
Thank you, Chair Seaville. So I was discussing several items with Chair Gibbs after a meeting and with Administrator Leonard. And they both, I guess they convinced me of the importance of childcare and housing. Not that we've determined what our role should be, but just that we should look at it. So I went back and I am proposing adding a strategy C, a strategy D, and an outcome measure 3 and 4. And they're parallel, one for childcare, one for housing. So strategy C is develop policies that support affordable, high-quality childcare to enhance workforce availability. Strategy D would be develop policies that promote a variety of safe and affordable housing options to enhance workforce availability. And then the corresponding outcome measures. Outcome measure 3, by August 31st, 2023, with input from non-EED supervisors and other Marathon County stakeholders, prepare recommendations for Marathon County government's role in providing affordable, high-quality child care. And outcome measure 4, by August 31st, 2023, with input from non-EED supervisors and other Marathon County stakeholders, prepare recommendations for Marathon County government's role in providing safe and affordable housing options. So, if you read on the budget, Administrator Leonard budget plan on page 34 and 35, I won't read that, but he had emphasized both of those two, that they were important for us to look at. Any questions?
Any questions? Supervisor Rosenberg?
Yeah, what are we're developing policies. I'm not sure what the county can do individual, other than support NGOs, other government entities, apply for grants, that kind of thing. But I don't know if you can put that in a policy very easy.
So I would say that I resisted adding these until, I had discussions. So some of the things that we discussed, and we may very well determine that we don't have a role. That may be the outcome of the discussions. that there, that we have a very limited or no role, that's fine. But a couple specific things, just to give you examples of things we could look at. There is apparently a substantial amount of regulation around childcare that may be driving up the cost of childcare, so we can look at the impact of regulations and if we would recommend, mostly that's state regulation, I believe, but that was one of the ideas that, that they said. And then Chair Gibbs' main point on housing was that there's substantial, that the county, I said, I don't think the county should be involved in housing. And he said, the county already is involved in housing. He said, we're very involved in housing. We deal with the zoning, and the county zoning is adopted by many townships within the county. He said, if we don't change that, I think I'm not sure if I have this correct, but like maybe once every 5 years they can opt out of that zoning. So Michael is shaking his head yes. So that would be one of the areas we'd look at is zoning. And I actually have thought of a couple ideas that I'd like to present, but they're not agendized, so I don't want to discuss them today. But around zoning that we could look at that may help potentially both childcare and housing. So those are the two areas that I'm aware of, is regulations and zoning. And again, I have kind of the same sentiments you did, but I'm basically coming at it with open mind.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to this. I'm looking at developing policies, and what actions can we take? And that I'm not sure that developing policies goes anywhere. I'm not sure how to join up with other stakeholders. I'm sure the corporations, parents, of course. I see the Wausau School District has talked about one of their organization plans. They're going to put at least suggested that they make a child care facility out of it. I mean, how can we directly help that as opposed to just having a policy that says we want to?
Well, I don't presume to have the answers. That's what we'd be doing over the next 6 months is having those discussions. I mean, if the committee doesn't want to have those discussions, that's the committee to choose. I'm offering it as an option for us to discuss. I'm not sure if you're suggesting that we change the term to something else rather than develop policies, but
yeah, I'm thinking develop policies that support affordable, and instead just drop the develop policies. Just support affordable, high-quality childcare, and promote a variety of safe, affordable housing, and leave the develop policies out of it.
I guess my pushback to that is, since I've been on the board for the last 7 months, I've been told that we're a policy board and that's what we do is develop policies, and it's not our job to actually implement them so I mean, that's kind of how I ended up there. But,
I think we're headed in the same direction. We're just saying it in a different way.
Okay, maybe Corp Counsel can answer this question. What Dave is putting in as a policy, is that the way we should go? Mike?
So, in listening to the two discussions, I think Supervisor Rosenberg, you make the right point, which is you're both going at kind of the same issue here with different phrasing. If you removed the develop policy language, the board's role would still be to develop policy on those two items, because that is the board's role. So I just looking at it legally, I think you're actually probably saying the same thing, whether or not you have those two words in there. So I'm not sure that functionally it makes a difference to remove them, but.
Okay, so this would go into 10.6, if I'm correct. Right, Dave? Or Mr. Baker?
That was my proposal.
I'll get it straight one of these times. Okay. Is there any other discussion on this? Do we want to, I mean, this is can be voted on today and forwarded to the executive committee. Do we want to do it, excuse me, forward it in the way Dave has got it proposed, or does it make any difference which way we do it? Nobody, okay. Well, then I will be looking for a motion to forward this to the executive committee.
I'll make the motion to forward it to the executive committee.
Supervisor Rosenberg makes a motion. I need a second. Second by Supervisor Nienmeyer. Come on, don't go dead. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Is that Crystal on WebEx?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. Okay, moving on. Operation functions required by statute, ordinance, resolution, or policy, none. Education presentation and committee discussion, 7A. McDepco monthly report. Then Kim is here.
Yes,
Okay, thank
hello.
you.
Hi, everybody. Gap financing, wanted to report that year-to-date, we've dispersed over $300,000 in funds, so very excited about that. Economic development updates you can see below. We had some really great workshops this year, so we had a marketing workshop, a successful selling, a women's read, UW Law, business basics, where UW Law, under the supervision of their supervising attorney, came, and we were able to offer the course to students, and they were able to get some legal advice under that attorney's supervision. So it was a really great resource for our businesses that we serve. Women's Leadership Program attendees 11. We held a Women's Leadership Conference back in October, and we've continued the follow-up, and our last follow-up is next week. So really cool to see our attendees continuing to follow our programs with our follow-up courses. We are working on finalizing the POUTS revolving loan fund in partnership with Marathon County. And then, as I just shared, we're a little over $300,000 year to date in dispersed funds to startup or expanding businesses throughout Marathon County or in the city of Wausau. So very exciting to see business growth and development there. We are the administrator of the Marathon County Micro Business Grant. So to date, we have dispersed $180,000 of that grant fund to 36 businesses. We recently sent out about 300 mailers to businesses and some of our rural farms, and are actually received quite a few applications in response to those mailers. So we're working on another batch to send to the county, which is very exciting to still see that fund being utilized. Again, that's a grant program for businesses operating prior to Safer at Home, where they can receive up to the $5,000 grant. You can see the events that we've hosted below. So we're wrapping up our 16-week course, the Gears Entrepreneurial Excellence course. So that is a 16-week course. If you haven't heard about it or attended, each week is taught by a mentor or business expert from the community. So we'll cover topics ranging from human resources to commercial real estate to their lean business plan, financing, all of the things that they'll need a little bit of information on to successfully finalize their business plan and launch their business. What's very exciting is the old statistics that we had showed that 1 in 10 businesses would launch graduating our course. The new statistic is now 3 in 10. And in some cases, we're actually able to utilize some of our GAP funds to help them launch or get them into office space at the business incubator, which I'll touch on. So we'll wrap up the course on December 13th and 15th. The last portion of that class is the students present their lean canvas to the dolphin tank. It's just like the Shark Tank, but we're a little nicer. So they're going to get some real feedback from business owners and experts in the community to be able to take their business to the next step and be able to provide that elevator pitch and clearly communicate their business needs to potentially a financer in the community or potentially McDevco for GAP funds. So very exciting to see that. We host that program once a year, and then we'll be rolling into our 2023 programming. So we'll be finalizing that calendar and offering some different workshops based on feedback we've gotten from the community as well as our tenants at the Entrepreneurial and Education Center. Other items, we've got the municipality meeting we host quarterly. We held one in October. We'll be holding our quarterly municipality meeting in Q1, either January or February of 2023. And then for an occupancy update, so McDevco is the manager of the tenancy and occupancy at the Entrepreneurial Center. When we took over in 2021, we were at about 60%, and we reported 84% in November. So we've seen massive improvements there. Manufacturing space continues to be full with a wait list started, and we're whittling away at the number of offices available. So very exciting to see that space utilized for development in our community. Any questions?
Any questions? Supervisor Baker?
So I was a tenant there before, so I kind of know how the building works. With the manufacturing space available, do you have like a goal for length of time for tenants so they just cycle tenants in and out to free up spaces?
Yeah, so the EEC has a board that kind of guides me in my management of the facility, and I think that's a great question and one that we talk about. You know, it's a business incubator. The ideal lifespan is 3 to 5 years. So we really look to the EEC board to set those benchmarks, and then we carry that out and fulfill it. And in a perfect world, it's an ecosystem, right? Like, start there, and then maybe they come to us for some gap financing. We work with our municipality partners to, get them connected with the right space for their business. So, yeah, we really look to them for that guidance. And, I think now that we're filling up, it's more fun to have those conversations about the growth of the businesses that are on site. So.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Kim. Very good report. Moving on to 7B Library Report. You have I see Leah is not here today, or is she? Nope. Okay. Thought maybe she was hiding. You all have the report in your packet. Does anybody have any questions about the report that maybe we can answer? No? Okay. And the same with 7C, UW Extension Monthly Report. Jason Hauser called me and said he was not able to make it. Is there any questions about the UW report? Okay, moving on to 7D, UWSP Extension Report. Mrs. Toms.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Good.
I was able to visit the McDevco site, and it was just amazing, so thank you for that tour. A lot of neat things going on over there. If you haven't been, please go. So I'll just highlight a few things here. You have the report. I do want to say that our fall enrollment numbers our applications and admits are higher than what they were this time last fall. So we're excited about that those numbers are up, applications are up, and admits are up. So what we focus on now is those who commit. So, because of course, students can apply for every UW institution at one time. And so we really want to focus on getting those students accepting and committing to the institution. So we're excited about the applications being up and the admits being up. So those students have accepted. We have about $40,000 of a scholarship money that's been granted to students coming in, freshman students coming in. So that's really neat. And these are for students who they call it merit or like trigger scholarships. So those who, first come, first serve, they get those scholarships. What we know traditionally is that at our two-year institutions, most students apply later. So those who go to like a Madison or to our main campus in Stevens Point or even Whitewater, where I came from, a lot of students who go to four-year institutions tend to apply a lot sooner than those who attend the two-year institutions. And so, so we're happy to see those numbers, they're up. So we're happy to see that. We know they will only increase as we keep moving along the next couple, the next semester. Another thing I just want to kind of mention is that we want to make sure that we are a resource to the community. We're really working to get more events and things on campus. So we work with the chamber. Some of you attended the candidate forum back in October. Very interesting event, I would say. So maybe some of you were there. So we do want to host more things like that for the community. Events is really going to focus on how we can make our community better, make our community more attractive to others coming in who might want to move here. And so definitely be on the lookout for those. But if we want to be a resource to the community, so if you think of some partnerships, how we can serve you as an institution, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Tonight, we have the winter choral concert on campus. Professor Tom Buchholz leads that, and so we were talking yesterday. He's very excited about that. I know that's an event that a lot of people in the community attend every year, so that is tonight at 7 p.m. On the campus, and then Sunday, December 11th, we will have our winter band concert. So 2 events coming up this month, so please join us. And I just have a few, just what I've listed last report are just our associate degrees, our bachelor's, and our graduate degrees. So I just want people to realize we're more than just a 2-year institution. We are a 4-year institution and a comprehensive, and we do have several graduate degree opportunities, either with collaboration with other institutions or just our campus. Now I know some of you, probably most of you, heard about the Richland Center campus. Basically, they are not offering degree granting programs on that campus anymore. Their enrollment, I think, went to about 60 students, and so anything over 100, I guess, is concerning. And so they're sending those students to their main. I can't remember what campus it is. Is it Platt? I can't remember. I think it's Platteville, maybe. But they're sending those students to their 4-year campus. But I just want to assure you that we are definitely working to. We still want to focus on our 18-year-olds graduating high school, coming into college, but we also want to think about how we can serve our adult populations, those who want to come back and get the MBA, those who say, hey, I want to become a physician assistant. We have those programs. They want to get a master's in social work. So we have some great human service people in our community, and they may want to come back to get that master's degree. One thing I want to stress that with our institution, we serve the community in the fact that you don't have to leave to advance. You can advance yourself, advance your degree still here in Wausau. So that's still the mission of our institution. UW system do have a task force that they put together maybe about a month or so ago to focus on the branch campuses. And our Chancellor Gibson, is one of the execs on that committee, really talking about what can we do to support the 2-year campuses. So just want you to know that we do have a commitment. Our Chancellor has a commitment to our branch campuses, and just want to make sure y'all know we're here as a resource for the community. Thanks. Oh, I'm sorry, any questions?
Any questions? Yeah.
All right.
I do have one. You talk about enrollment moving up. Do you have like a percentage? Is it?
No, not really. The tricky thing with enrollment, we really don't know what the enrollment numbers. We won't know what the enrollment numbers are until the 10th day of the fall semester.
Okay.
So we know that there's an increase in applications. We know that. We know there is an increase in admits right now based on what we had last year. So from that, we say, okay, we definitely gonna have more students on campus in the fall, but we can't really say what that number is until the 10th day.
Okay.
So it's really tricky.
Well, at least it's going up.
Yes.
Good job. Okay, any other questions for? Okay, thank you very much for your report. Very good. Okay, number 8, announcements, future meeting and agenda items. after the new year, I am going to try to put on the agenda to get started on affordable housing and childcare. Once we get this settled in, our new objective into the strategic plan. So that's going to be one agenda items. If anybody else has any, Supervisor Baker.
Thank you, Chair Seafield. I have 2 requests for future agenda items, and I have 4 pages, so bear with me. So, the first request falls under Rule 15B6, specifically policy issue discussion and committee determination of policy recommendations to be directed to the county board by a standing committee for its consideration. I request that the following potential rule revision be added to our next EED committee agenda for discussion and determination. The rule revision would consist of adding Rule 15D upon written or emailed request of 3 supervisor members of a standing committee. The standing committee chair will add an item to the agenda of the next standing committee meeting that occurs not sooner than 7 calendar days from the date of the request. As we are all undoubtedly aware, a recent HR finance and also a full board budget meeting lasted nearly 5 hours each on consecutive days. Some supervisors pointed to a breakdown in the standing committee system as a partial cause for these lengthy meetings, and I would at least partially agree with that assessment. This proposal provides a method to add issues that are of interest to multiple standing committee members to the standing committee agenda in an effort to improve the functionality of the standing committees. This issue is germane to our EED committee, as I proposed an agenda item that I believe was clearly within our committee scope for today's meeting agenda. The item was not placed on the agenda. I want to be clear that I am not mentioning this request to have item placed on the agenda to be critical of Chair Seafield or any member of staff, but just to clarify why this current agenda request should be placed on our EED agenda rather than the agenda of a different standing committee. At our July 7th, 2022 EED committee, during a discussion of the strategic plan and referring to an earlier WCA presentation regarding supervisors' roles and responsibilities, Chair Gibbs, at about 1 hour and 10 minutes into the meeting, stated that decisions are to be made collectively by the board and that no one supervisor by themselves or any small group has control over anything. Chair Gibbs went on to state that if there's something that you want taken up, suggest it. I wholeheartedly agree with these statements by Chair Gibbs, and thus I'm making this agenda request, which I believe is in complete alignment with the statements that Chair Gibbs expressed on July 7th. Unfortunately, our county's good faith efforts to comply with Wisconsin Open Meetings Law, including instruction to the supervisors to minimize inter-member communications between meetings and the Open Meetings Law requirements to only discuss items that are on the agenda during meetings, have not provided us with the capability to effectively discuss and make decisions collectively. Please place this proposal on our next EED agenda so that our committee and then subsequently the full board can discuss the proposal and make a collective decision as to whether the proposed rule change would improve the functionality of our standing committee system. The second request falls under the Rule 15B4, educational presentation and discussion. I am requesting that we be provided an educational presentation, impact of Zucchino versus Dane County on the permissible uses of email by county board supervisors at a EED meeting in the near future. Zucchino versus Dane County Board of Supervisors is a 2018 published opinion of the Wisconsin court system that appears to me to be directly on point for guiding county board supervisors in their use of email for various purposes, including discussion of issues facing the board. It is important to note that this is a published opinion. The criteria for the Wisconsin courts to publish an opinion are outlined in Wisconsin Statute 809.231 as follows. Criteria for publication. While neither controlling nor fully measuring the court's discretion, criteria for publication in the official reports of an opinion of the court include whether the opinion, 1, enunciates a new rule of law or modifies, clarifies, or criticizes an existing rule. 2, applies an established rule of law to a factual situation significantly different from that in published opinions. 3, resolves or identifies a conflict between prior decisions. 4, contributes to the legal literature by collecting case law or reciting legislative history. Or 5, decides a case of substantial and continuing public interest. Prior to Zecchino versus Dane County, the Wisconsin Attorney General's Open Meeting Law Compliance Guide section on electronic communication was undoubtedly the best and most relevant legal guide on the use of email by Wisconsin public officials. However, the electronic communication section of the 2019 Compliance Guide has only very minor changes from the 2015 and 2018 versions and continues to state that no Wisconsin court has applied the open meetings law to those kinds of electronic communications. It appears to me that the guidance in the Open Meetings Compliance Guide is markedly different from the case law established in Zecchino, specifically including paragraphs 6 and 17 of the Zecchino case. It also doesn't appear that the 2019 Attorney General Open Meetings Compliance Guide section on electronics communication reflects any of the case law established in Zecchino versus Dane County. In the interest of providing good government and of not violating Wisconsin open meetings law, I am requesting an educational presentation, impact of Zecchino versus Dane County on the permissible uses of email by county board supervisors at a triple ED meeting in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Baker. Okay, we can maybe sit down and draw up what you want to put on for, a little shorter than what you just read. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment specifically regarding the first request. It sounds like that would be a discussion of potentially an addition or modification to the county board rules. And when I look at the duties of the standing committees, the duty of monitoring the county board's adherence to rules and overseeing the county board rules is the executive committee's duty. So I'm not sure, it might be better that that item would be heard in committee at executive committee. Ultimately, of course, would be a full board decision. And then as I think about the educational item request, it almost seems applicable to the entire board, and perhaps if that educational item was going to happen, maybe it would be better to go to the full board. I certainly not saying it couldn't happen at a committee level, but it seems that it would be pertinent to potentially all committees. So just a couple comments on that.
Okay, so then, do we want to probably try to get this to the full board? The request?
Right, I think that would make sense. It's definitely a request that's been made, so I can communicate to Chair Gibbs about the educational item as a request to the full board, and then seems to me that the first item under our rules would need to go to executive committee. So we can certainly have that discussion as well and make that referral.
Okay, so then, let's see, we make the request at this next executive committee meeting?
I would have to talk to the
Chair.
or let the chair know that the request was made, because I don't get to set the agenda.
Right,
But-
okay, I'm just
right.
asking the
Yep,
question.
Yep.
It might be for a future agenda item.
Right.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this, Mr. Supervisor Baker?
Well, I think the second one will probably create less controversy than the first one, probably. But the second one, I guess I had thought that there may be some extended period of discussion between Corp Counsel and myself during the meeting. And maybe we didn't have to put the whole board through that. And then we could, depending on the outcome of that discussion, we could have a second educational presentation. It would be recorded so that if anyone wanted to watch it, as opposed to just you and I sitting down in person and hashing it out. So that's kind of why I, thought that this is triple ED, which is, educational is, so I don't think I'm okay with whatever the committee decides, but that was kind of my thoughts of putting it here. Just, we really did have 5 hours worth of, HR finance meeting and 5 hours of a board meeting, and in the end, we cut $200,000 out of our budget. To me, that's very inefficient use of 38 supervisors' time. I'm going to do what I can to make sure that doesn't happen next year. And I have, a number of ideas that I'm going to propose. This is, both of these two are part of that. I just don't want to see that process happen again where we spend 10 hours in reach and discuss, a sixth of the items, or a 6 out of 19 items. I'm sorry if I'm getting off topic, something that's not agendized, I apologize. So I'm okay with the second one going to the full board for an education, but I'm also, I could see some benefits with doing it here first. I'll defer to Michael on that, whichever you prefer is fine. In terms of the first one, I would say that, this was brought up by a committee member of Triple ED me, and it impacted Triple ED, and therefore I believe it's germane to our committee. I did review the requirements from both executive committee and our committee. I understand your argument. I wouldn't say there's no merit to it, but I believe that this would be a good committee to have that discussion at. I will say that, well, I was gonna say something else, but I'll discuss that with Michael after the meeting. Thank you.
You have a follow-up?
Just in the interest of not going outside of the meeting agenda, I'll just say, as far as outlining a potential educational discussion, I think we could have a conversation about what that would look like, and then maybe look at, okay, once we decide what that educational presentation would consist of, then we can decide where it would go and make that proposal, and then I'd certainly be happy to talk to you about the other item as well. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. So then we can work on this and get back and see what we come up with? Okay, okay, thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Baker. I see Leah walked in from the library. We were almost at the end of our meeting, so you can give your report now, Leah.
Sure, I'll keep
Thank
it
you.
brief. As you know, a lot of things have been happening. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Chairman. I just had a workday training with managers and branch coordinators down at 212 River Drive, so that was enlightening, and I'm excited to see about the new process for payroll. I think it's going to be really good and user-friendly. Anyhow, things have been happening at the library. We had a regular board meeting last Monday, and then we had a special board meeting this Monday. If you are interested in that, if you haven't seen the news or you want more detailed information, the minutes to that will be available coming soon prior to this upcoming board meeting, so you should see it in that packet. On to operational things, which I am here for. The most exciting thing that's happened in the past month is we did a partnership with the Wausau Police, have a new community outreach specialist, And that person is dedicated to finding resources for people who maybe don't have homes, who need financial assistance, that kind of thing. And because we often support many of those people at the library, the outreach specialist, her name is Tracy Reiger, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She has made herself available 2 times a week for several hours at the library. We're having her use one of our study rooms so that if anybody who needs those resources needs help, they can go right where those people are here at the library. So that's something that we're really excited about. Just a couple other light things. If you didn't know, the library offers notary services. So if you need a notary public, we have one of those available. I think we got it done about 6 or 8 months ago. We were always getting questions about it, and one of our librarians offered to get certified, and it's used all the time. So as long as that certified person is in the library, you can get things notarized through us. Let's see. We're doing a lot of outreach. In the past month, our youth services team partnered with the Wausau School District Gifted and Talented Leadership Program, and they gave a tour of some of those people at the headquarters of the library. The children's librarian attended the Head Start Resource Fair on October 20th to provide parents and families with information about the library. Another library specialist went to Trinity Lutheran School to speak to a kindergarten class about a series of community helpers. Another library specialist was asked to speak at a local AARP chapter. He just presented on library programs, services, and things that might be of interest to that group. We had our Athens coordinator reached out to a local assisted living center to offer library services. And if I haven't mentioned this before, we have a program called Homebound, and that is for people who maybe live in assisted living, who can't get to the library, people who are disabled, people who are ill. Anyone who is unable to visit the library and still wants library resources can sign up for the Homebound program, and we can ship out or have volunteers deliver materials from the library to those people. I'll see if there are any other highlights so I don't take up any more of your time. I mean, I think that's all of the highlights. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions from the committee? Okay, thank you very much. Very good
you.
report. Thank you. Next scheduled meeting is for Thursday, January 5th, 2023 at 3 o'clock. And number 9, I will take a motion. Motion by Supervisor Rosenberg, second by Supervisor Book. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, and everyone have a